Here is a picture I drew quite some time ago of old Nami there, brothers and sisters. If you like this type of thing and more, remember to follow me on Google+, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. One Piece, Chapter 213, V.I.P.
Very immense penis?
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome, mind-blowing tale of One Piece. Now, the last few chapters have really seen the action kind of winding down a bit, but to tell you the truth, in my opinion, these are the ones where there's a lot going on, and it's actually the most difficult to try and cover in an objective way in a review. The last chapter in particular, we saw several different things happening, but really the end of it was Tashigi who had come back and met up with Smoker, and really was kind of wrestling with some inner self-doubt, and I think it was because she felt like she needed to. She wasn't strong enough and needed to have help of these despicable pirates, right, that she ultimately wound up letting go. And she realized that justice isn't black and white all the time. And I in my opinion, it's her struggle with that, and she kind of broke down, just broke down and was very upset. And I think a lot of it too was just the whole, she wants to believe in the sense of right and wrong, and it's an absolute thing, and it's not all the time. Many times there is, there is a gray area. So that's what I got from it, and that's how things left off. What happened is Smoker was informed that him and Tashigi were going to receive a promotion for their hand in capturing Crocodile, which of course they didn't do. We know that, but Smoker basically told them to shove it up their ass. I've been told in some of the comments, that they, in your translation, it said that he told them to eat shit. Either way, the bottom line is he pretty much told them, screw you. I don't want to, we're not going to take credit for something we didn't do. So that's how the chapter left off. This one goes and picks up, and it actually is really kind of cool because it focuses on the Straw Hats and just sort of the aftermath of what's been going on. Several days have passed. We see a brief interaction between a local doctor, I'm assuming of the Alabasta kingdom, and Chopper. This doctor is giving major positive comments and props to Chopper about how he's so good and he's never seen in 40 years of medicine. And Vivi's like, Princess Vivi's there, and she's going, yeah, he learned from he was from Drum Kingdom and this and that. He's like, oh, the great doctors of Drum Kingdom. And it's funny because Chopper kind of has that sense like Hiraluk did, and as well as the baddie old woman, if her name escapes me right now, because he's kind of like just a real abrasive person. He's like, get away from me, shut up, leave me alone, and then we go and we see out in the town, we see Sanji and Usopp are going and picking up some supplies and things like that, and we see people are kind of rebuilding the town, rebuilding Alubarna, the capital, and it's funny because you hear somebody going, Jesus, look at this wall over here, and this wall, it looks like somebody just kicked straight through them, and it's kind of funny because Sanji's like, keep walking, because if you remember right, Sanji about 20 chapters ago when he was trying to get to where he thought the bomb might be, he just started kicking through walls because he didn't have time to go around. So it's kind of funny to see those little tidbits wrap up, those little Easter eggs, if you were paying attention as I was. So we wind up getting some other, good exchanges, again, just from the different Straw Hats. And then we go and we see some Marines coming at trying to get into the palace and bothering Lord Chaka, and they're saying, hey, stop harboring the pirates, that we know they're here. And he's like, Lord Chaka's like, I don't know any pirates. I don't know what you're talking about. Do you have any proof? And as he's saying that, Sanji and Usopp walk up the steps right next to him, and he's like, hey, did you guys find what you needed in town? And they're like, yeah, we did the best we could considering, the things are still kind of in shambles from the whole, war that just ensued. So it's so funny because the Marines are looking for the people that just walked by, right? So, anyway, and then they go and say, and Sanji's like, do you think he's up? Or Usopp goes, do you think he's up yet? And Sanji goes, no, it's too quiet, So the next panel we go and we see Luffy go, and he's laying in the bed, and all of a sudden he's just like, he's awake and he's alive, He's like, what the hell? What's going on? Where's my hat? And it's so funny because if you think about the different instances where Luffy's just been flat out laid out for a while and had to kind of sleep off his wounds and stuff, whenever he wakes up, like on the Baratie or whatever, the first thing is, where's my hat? And then he's like, I missed breakfast, and where's my hat? So those are the first things he thinks of. They wind up talking to him and letting him know that he's been out for 3 days. He didn't even know that he was sick. Vivi winds up telling him, and says, no, it's a Chopper and actually I think I forget who it was, but they said Chopper and Vivi were taken care of. You had a high fever. With obviously everything that's gone on, and that had happened during his battles and everything like that with Croc. So he had no idea, and it's just real funny because he's like, oh my God, 3 days? And then you see all of a sudden, like this little calculator going on his head, it's like ding, ding, ching, ching, and then he's like, that means I missed 15 meals. And they're like, wow, quick math. And then Usopp's like, yeah, and he gave himself 5 meals a day, too. So then all of a sudden this woman walks in that looks just like Igaram, and Luffy's like, oh, and she's like, oh, dinner's going to be ready soon. We'll have dinner ready soon. In the meantime, you can eat some fruit. And Luffy goes, and he goes, oh, yeah, oh, geez. I'm glad to see that you're still alive, Igaram, because he had no idea, right? Luffy was off fighting Croc when that whole thing transpired at the end. he goes, yeah, but why are you wearing a dress? You look like a lady, Well, we find out that it actually is Igaram's wife. Her name is Terracotta, and I guess she's like the spitting image of Igaram. So they're just sort of weird-looking, incestual, like twin people that are husband and wife. Anyway, she winds up going and telling Luffy dinner will be ready in 30 minutes or whatever. Food will be ready in 30 minutes. Have some fruit until then. And Luffy's like, okay, great, but I'm really hungry, man. I got to catch up on all the meals I missed. And she's like, don't worry, I've been doing this for 30 years, boy. You're not going to intimidate me, I can feed a hungry young man. So then it's kind of cool because we see the next several pages is them feasting, and we see all the royal guards of the palace, and they're all kind of like, God, I can't believe this nonsense. How could they be like that? They're eating like barbarians because Luffy's stuff in his mouth, and everybody's just kind of partying and having a good time like the Straw Hats do, right? They just sort of, as dark and dismal as some of the things are that they have to go through, man, when it's relaxing time for them, it's like a goddamn dance party with them, you know what I mean? They're just hanging out, everybody's smiling, laughing, having a good time. You just can't help but smile. It's infectious, and you see that as this progresses, and Luffy's shoving his face full of food. Then he goes and he's snatching food off of Usopp's plate, so Usopp then goes and hits puts some hot sauce on something, and Luffy grabs it. He's like, oh, that was a cheap trick, and then all of a sudden Usopp's sitting there, he's like, when did you get here? And it looks like it's Eyelashes, the camel sitting next to him. It's just real funny stuff that goes on, and as you see the progression of these few pages, you see towards the end, these soldiers, these palace guards go and kind of lighten up, and they just can't help but bust out and start laughing and having a joyous good time as well, So the next portion of the chapter after that, which I think was this is the kind of fan service, for all the younger male fans out there, I'm assuming, is it's the bath scene. Everybody goes into the royal baths, and first it's of course the men's bath, and everybody's excited to just have a nice hot bath, right? Wash the grime and grit off of them, and Usopp and Chopper and Zoro and Sanji and all of them, of course, are in there, and even Igaram is in there, and even King Cobra as well. So everybody's chilling, in the bath / steam room type area, and then Sanji goes and he asks Igaram, he's like, so where's the woman's bath, huh? And Igaram's like, yeah, like as if I'd tell you that, he's freaking pervert. Princess Vivi's in there right now washing and this and that. So then King Cobra, right, dirty old pervert bastard that he is, he's like, over that wall. So then you go and you flip the page and you flip to, and this is where you get the fan service over here. You see Nami butt naked, conveniently though, with her knees up covering and her arms covering her breasts and her private areas and whatnot, so you can't see nipple and the other parts. And then you've got Vivi behind her, and she's kind of washing her back, right? And they're having a little intimate girl moment because they did become gal pals over this entire saga, I guess you'd say. And they're, and Nami's just talking about, man, I wish I had baths like this on the ship, or I wish there's a ship with baths like this on it. And she's like, I'm sure there is. The world's a big place and this and that, and you're going to wind up discovering a lot about that, Nami. And so Nami goes and tells her that they're going to thinking about leaving tonight and everything else. And then we go and we see, this is kind of funny because then we go and we see over the wall, all of a sudden they're like, what the hell, and it's you got Chopper laying up on there. You've got Sanji with his goo eyes. You've got Usopp. Everybody's up on there looking. Even Igaram, right, at trying to catch a glimpse of the two naked hotties. And it's funny because Vivi's got a towel on or whatever, and so does Nami. But Nami goes and looks at him, and she goes, what does she say? She says something punch. She opens up her, she basically flashes them and says something punch or whatever, and they're all like, they're all like flabbergasted. They got to see her breasts, so they fall back off of the thing and whatnot. And she goes, and that'll be 100,000 berries each, so she charged them for the sneak peek, right, for the peep show. So anyway, all in all, I thought it was just fun, you know, and funny the way it was done. We then go and we see in the next panel, and then of course there's, you know, Vivi and Nami talking a little bit, and you know, about how Nami is thinking about they're thinking about leaving tonight, and Vivi's like, why, you know, and really it's just because I mean it's an obvious thing that they need to do. The Marines are looking for them, they're getting closer, and they're just going to wind up. It's going to be more difficult the longer they wait, you know. So, but you can tell that Vivi's kind of torn, and I don't know if she's thinking about coming with them or she's going to stay and rule her kingdom or what. So then we go in, and then we were back to the men's baths or whatever, and obviously everybody must have fallen down back on King Cobra because he's got like a bloody nose that he's wiping. And it's kind of neat because in a show of ultimate graciousness and humble, you know, having a big old piece of humble pie, he goes and he bows his head to Luffy and the Straw Hats, thanking them for saving his kingdom, you know. And even Zoro's like, should a king bow, you know? And Igaram's like, you're setting a bad example, my liege, you know, type of thing. And he says, listen, you know, once we strip off our clothes, all our titles go with it, and we're just people. And that's what I always say to people, you know, we're all just people at the end of the day. It doesn't matter on YouTube how many subscribers you have or how much popular you have. You're all people at the end of the day. So I'm going to talk to you the same whether you're a world famous movie star, the president of the United States, or just the dude next door. You know what I mean? I'm not going to have like a, oh my God, you were in a movie. You know, who cares, man? You know, so we're all people at the end of the day. So I thought it was great. It was reinforced, of course, my thoughts by King Cobra, and he says, "No, you know, I'm thanking you as a husband, as a father, as a, you know, as a leader, you know, for my family, from my family to you." And Luffy kind of smiles, and it's a really nice thing, I think. So then we go, and later on we see, you know, they're telling Luffy about how they're going to get going, and they think it's the best idea. I think Zoro was pointing out to him, and I forgot to mention too, Zoro was going and he was lifting these heavy rocks and stuff. He's all messed up towards the beginning of the chapter. That when I was talking about the Straw Hats doing their things, and then when they came back, Chopper was bitching at him because, you know, he's his doctor and he told Zoro not to be doing these type of things. He took the bandages off to obstruct because they were obstructing his movement, you know. But anyway, that's sorry for rewinding there on that one. I just remembered when I thought about Zoro talking about them leaving, it was the best plan. So Luffy's like, all right, we'll get in one more meal. You know, everything with him is based on meals. And then the chapter closes out with, and I thought this was pretty cool, it closes out with a one-page spread, and it's Igaram talking with Chaka, and they're talking about how it's going to be difficult for them to leave, and this is an unfortunate turn of events, and this and that. You're thinking, what? And we go and we see wanted posters, right? And it was cool because when I first started this journey, everybody told me to keep a lookout for that and how they'd play importance after a while, and everybody's power was and how much they were wanted obviously was gauged upon these wanted posters and what type of bounty you had on your head. Now, if you remember right, Luffy only had a 30 million berry bounty coming into this saga. They show 2 wanted posters. Now, Roronoa Zoro is a wanted man, and he's got a 60 million berry bounty. And I'm thinking, oh shit, right? And then you see Luffy's 100 million berry bounty. So he definitely is moving up in the world. They're moving up on the list of most popular people, you know, that the world government wants to capture. So I thought that was kind of cool, you know, and then it ends off with Igaram saying, you know, and you have to keep pushing forward, Luffy. You just beat one of the 7 warlords, the Shichibukai, you know. And so it was really very cool. And there's a lot of neat little things that happen in these chapters. So even though there's not a ton of action, that's why these reviews for these particular chapters tend to be a little bit longer. So my chapter question is, though, what do you think about the you know, the turn of events as far as the huge increase in bounty for Luffy? I was thinking it was going to go from like 30 to maybe 50 million or something, but 3.5 times almost that was multiplied by 100 million, and then Zoro just boom getting a 60 million one out of the gates. I mean, you know, come to think of it, though, they did take down an entire organization, saved an entire country, and Luffy, you know, wound up beating one of the 7 warlords. So, but what do you think about the bounty? You know, is it well-deserved, well-earned, or do you think it's too much and was overplayed? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you have not done so already. We will look forward to catching all of yous in the next One Nation. This is what Ace would look like after he saw Nami's breasts when she flashed them in the bath. Even though he wasn't there, but that's okay.